like I said, I just think that life is a spectrum. There's some people who can look at this pen and, you know, want to have sex with it.
Yeah.
I mean, you just never know.
Where's this going?
I mean, I'm just saying, like,
can you come back off that
childhood?
He left it up to like a hypnotist too. So
childhood trauma.
My eyes start going like this. Jedi mind trick.
Childhood trauma is definitely real. I don't believe that people should be using it as an excuse and throwing it around to other people.
Because I know I'll finish with this. I know a lot of people that will take that childhood trauma and use it as the excuse as to why they aren't good in relationship. Now that example, I know some people like that. So so I would be telling them, hey man, that ain't got nothing to do with this. This is something else. This is you. And nobody that has been traumatized wants you to tell them this problem that is happening right now is you.
Vulcan, what you got for us?
Yeah, so I want to make some distinctions in how we use the words here, because I agree with a lot of what I'm hearing. Aki says that childhood trauma is real. No doubt about that. The trauma was real, right? My concern is when somebody goes, okay, at 6, this happened to you, and then you're sitting in somebody's office at 30, 40, 50 years old, and they say, well, the reason why you do this is because of this that happened in your childhood. That's a big leap right there. And my issue, and this is the purpose of this show about critical thinking and being logically sound, right?
Here we go.
In science, there's something called test of falsifiability. If I have a hypothesis, I'm not going to just believe my hypothesis. I'm not going to go to y'all and say, hey, look, y'all, this is what that truth is. It's incumbent upon me that I have to figure out how do I test to see if this is true. So I'm going to attempt to falsify it numerous times. And if it stands the trial of that falsification, we can say this is a good theory. This is accurate. With a lot of psychological evaluations, with a lot of psychological trauma-based things you hear from the psychologists and therapists, there's no way to verify that. There's no way to tell if it's even relevant. You could have somebody who's an a-hole that had a traumatized life, somebody is an a-hole who has a non-traumatized life. I'm here to stand on my soapbox and proclaim that to the world.
On this show.
Previously on Vulcan Soapbox.
There's different levels to it.
But at the end of the day, because I'm not a fan of Freud's perspective, is that it all comes from some reverting back to your childhood and some, because we need to stop making those excuses and blaming mama and daddy 100%. For who we are.
100%.
You can blame mama and daddy for the cause, but you can't blame them for the effect.
There you go. Or your choices later on once you become an adult.
Once you understand, like, yo, I went through some shit, but now I'm gonna.
But that's why mental health therapy.
All right. Y'all can hear me out there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, next question. Hey, does learning and addressing childhood trauma help the relationship? Does learning and addressing childhood trauma help relationships?
You're gonna tell us who's gonna go first?
Let's go with Derek.
Ooh. I mean, I'll say this. It can. But I'll let you come back around. Yes, it can.
All right. Aki.
I mean, whose childhood trauma are we talking about? Mine or the kids or the wife?
Spouse, you and your spouse or significant other?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so, definitely, because...
When you say yes, right?
Because people need to talk about...
We're going to come back around. We're going to let you explain. Vulcan.
Yes.
I'd say it helps, but not as much as everybody thinks.
100%.
Okay. All right. So Derek, go ahead and explain why.
Okay. So let's say you are a person, you have trauma. Let's put this box over here with these 100 traumas. If the trauma that you are dealing with is a trauma that directly affects relationship and you get healed in that direct area, that's what I mean by it could help relationship. But the way I truly view it is your traumas are all in this box, whatever they are. Me personally, I don't, they shouldn't even affect the relationship. When you dealt with something when you was a kid, okay, we've learned it, we've dealt with it, we know it, we're addressing it. But why is that? Why does that interfere with you respecting your person for who they are? Why is that causing you to not do the responsibilities you're supposed to do to your significant other? I maybe because I haven't had childhood trauma, so I can't see how they play the role together. Because I know I'll finish with this. I know a lot of people that will take that childhood trauma and use it as the excuse as to why they aren't good in relationship. Now that example, I know some people like that. So I would be telling them, hey man, that ain't got nothing to do with this. This is something else. This is you. And nobody that has been traumatized wants you to tell them this problem that is happening right now is you. They don't want to hear it. But you don't understand. You don't know what I went through. I know what I'm going through as a result of what you think you went through.
What's up, Aki? What you got for us?
Man, hold up, wait a minute. Skirt. Let me put my foot in.
Yeah, get it.
Number one, childhood trauma is real. Okay, as a person who has been traumatized as a child, as a young person. Now, psychology is a spectrum. Okay. Now, I was able to deal with my childhood traumas because I was raised to. You know what I mean? I also had a solid family at home. My family at home was solid, but out in the street, it was wild out there. But I was able to turn my childhood trauma and identify myself and make it a positive thing. Now, here's the thing. Everybody doesn't have the ability to do that. Now, we want to say, oh, yeah, everybody should pull themselves up by their bootstraps and get themselves together and blah, blah. But guess what I realized as a businessman out here in the streets trying to encourage other people to do the same thing that I did? It's very difficult. You have people out there that say, oh, people ask me for money. Hey, Aki, can I get $20? No, let me show you how you can make $20. Oh, I don't want to do that. Or they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So some people that's why we have all these programs in America like welfare and food stamps. All of these people they're not lazy. They just don't know how to do whatever it is that you think that they should know how to do.
I'm with that.
Okay. Agree or disagree, Derek?
Oh no, I'm with that.
Okay.
I'm with that. But I still think within the sentiment that the childhood trauma, if it affects relationship, because I know some people with some traumas and their relationships are solid, but they deal in private or in secret or on their own with a therapist or whatever, but it has nothing to do with their relationship.
You're repeating what I said, basically.
I know. I'm reiterating what I started. Yeah, no doubt.
All right. Vulcan, what you got for us?
Yeah, so I want to make some distinctions in how we use the words here, because I agree with a lot of what I'm hearing. Aki says that childhood trauma is real. No doubt about that. The trauma was real, right? My concern is when somebody goes, okay, at 6, this happened to you, and then you're sitting in somebody's office at 30, 40, 50 years old, and they say, well, the reason why you do this is because of this that happened in your childhood. That's a big leap right there. And my issue, and this is the purpose of this show about critical thinking and being logically sound, right?
Here we go.
In science, there's something called test of falsifiability. If I have a hypothesis, I'm not going to just believe my hypothesis. I'm not going to go to y'all and say, hey, look, y'all, this is what that truth is. It's incumbent upon me that I have to figure out, how do I test to see if this is true? So I'm going to attempt to falsify it numerous times. And if it stands the trial of that falsification, we can say this is a good theory. This is accurate. With a lot of psychological evaluations, with a lot of psychological trauma-based things you hear from the psychologists and therapists, there's no way to verify that. There's no way to tell if it's even relevant. You can have somebody who's an a-hole that had a traumatized life, somebody is an a-hole who has a non-traumatized life, and we can play this out. They walk into the office because I've been in therapy as I was a little kid, you know, for something that wasn't really related to me so much, but just family stuff and this, that, and the other, and family got to go, or I got to go for other reasons. Not that I'm not crazy, because I am not. No, but so the thing is, you go in there, and when they hear about your childhood, they're like, oh, this affects you. The reason why you're like this is because of this. A lot of that Freud stuff.
Which is what, like you said, I just want to make sure what you said, and that's unfalsified.
You can't. They can't tell me that. And then somebody else walks into the office and does it, and they say, well, you're doing this because of this. So two people walk in the office doing the same things, and they give two different reasons why they did it, because they can't say it's this childhood because we didn't have the same situation happen in our childhood. So that's my issue with a lot of this addressing childhood trauma. If you're in a relationship with somebody and they're putting their hands on you and you go, oh, that's because they had an abusive home when they were a child. No, they don't put their hands on their boss at work. They had the same trauma. They're doing it if they get away with it. If I was El Chapo, they wouldn't be putting their hands on me if they was married to El Chapo. You think El Chapo's getting women putting his hands on them? No. So
walking around like that.
You know what I'm saying? So my whole thing is saying we can get away with. And then whenever you make it about your childhood trauma, it's financially better for the psychologist, because then you got to always come here because your childhood is never going to change. It's never going to change. It's in the past. If I tell you a jerk today, and that's why you did it because you were a jerk and you knew you can get away with it, you might not pay me no more. If I say it's not your fault, it's what you went through, and that's why you're this, I'll keep getting that money up out you.
And you'll never get healed or delivered from that mess. And you know what it is? You know what it is? I know there's a term for it. Maybe you guys know it. It's something about the psychology of correcting somebody in their emotional hurt. So if somebody, like what you're saying with the childhood trauma, you very seldom hear the person go, hey, man, no, it ain't that. It's this. You're being an ass right now. That ain't got nothing to do with you being 6 years old and dealing with that. This is you, grown man. You don't curse at your boss. You don't curse out your homeboy, but you're doing it to her. That ain't got nothing to do with you. So, but very seldom when people say, I dealt with this, most people are just like, yeah, I ain't gonna even touch it. All right, man. That's what you, okay.
I remember this pastor told me, and Derek and I shared this pastor at one point in time in life, told me, James, the reason why you always got to break down your points and explain why people are right or they're wrong is because I think what happened, God told me that you used to be told to shut up a lot when you were a child.
Oh gosh.
And so now you feel like you always got to speak.
I need a bag.
So he's putting God on it, but still doing that Freudian psychology.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Golly.
Agree, disagree? What's your thoughts on that, Aki?
I mean, like I said, I just think that
keep it real with us.
I mean, I just think that life is a spectrum.
No doubt.
Know? And there's some people who can look at this pen and, you know, want to have sex with it.
Yeah.
I mean, you just never know.
Where's this going?
I mean, I'm just saying, like,
can you come back off that childhood?
He left it up like a hypnotist too. So
childhood trauma.
I start going like this. Jedi mind trick.
Childhood trauma is definitely real. I don't believe that people should be using it as an excuse and throwing it around to other people. For sure, definitely not doing that. Yeah. I've never experienced nobody say, hey, you know what? I'm acting like this because somebody did something to me when I was 12. I've never heard nobody say that. But I do agree with you, James, because I watched this show called Karamo. and he tell everybody the same thing every day. He says the same thing to every person every day.
And you can't do nothing with it. You can't verify. You can't falsify it. So it's like,
falsify.
And also, oh yeah, you'll read the comment real quick,
Yes, Dr. A. Williams said, "Why are you hating on my childhood trauma?"
I think y'all hearing. I think y'all.
She said she senses some hate from y'all, man. Speak to it.
The fact that question is even asked, I think y'all not. I think you're hearing what I'm not saying. I am, because you've said it 3 times, Aki, that childhood trauma is real. No, I'm not saying it's not real. You said it's a spectrum. I agree, which is why I said if your childhood trauma is not a trauma that's can directly affect relationship, then I don't want to hear about that when it comes to relationship. Your trauma can be real in all these other areas.
Don't you think that that's mean though?
No, it's real. It's real.
It could be mean too, though. That is
mean, I say it's mean because you know this person, and why would you want to hurt them?
I don't want to hurt them. But there's okay. So give me a scenario. Let's take you. You, my boy. You've had childhood trauma that has nothing to do with relationship, and then we're talking one day, and I say, "Yo, man, you got to treat her better, man. You can't talk to her like that." And then you bring up, "Well, man, this happened to me when I was 6. It's like, bro, that ain't got nothing to do with you talking to her. That's what I mean. So I'm not dismissing the trauma. I'm saying if it's not a childhood trauma that directly affects how you deal with your boss, your significant other, dude, we're not going to use it here. And I'm not going to let
revelation that childhood trauma is the reason why he beats up his girlfriend. And maybe he needs to realize that sometimes sometimes recognizing when you have a problem is the beginning.
Let's say that's it.
So maybe his homeboy talking to him about how he treats his woman triggered him into, man, this is the reason why I beat my girl, because my mom was beating the shit out of me. And you know what?
Facebook
beating me. And you know what? Thank you, bro. I'm gonna work on myself. I appreciate that.
That directly
because
relates.
Guess what? You just made me realize that it is something that happened to me when I was younger. The reason why I'm doing this. Thank you, bro. I'm gonna be good, man. I promise you, bro. I'm gonna be good.
This is my issue with that, though. Nothing about that says it's really immoral, right? So if I'm doing it because of my childhood, that's just who I am at this point. Why do I need to stop? Can you accept me as how I am? I am this way as an adult. I put my hands on people because of what happened to me in my past. Can you love me in spite of that? Now go give me that sandwich. Is that what we're saying, y'all? What makes it immoral then at that point? If it's your
the world says it's immoral, though.
I think it's that time for the show. I think it's that time again. I think we got to go over terms. We got to go over terms, y'all. Hey. Oh, that was a delay.
I knew it was gonna be me. I'm sorry. I think you'll get away with this one.
All right.
You don't have a bleep button over there?
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. Unfalsifiability. This is what Vulcan was talking about, man. Description is confidently asserting the theory of hypothesis of a true or false, even though the theory of the hypothesis cannot possibly be contradicted by the observation of or the outcome of any physical experiment, usually without strong evidence or good reasons.
Listen, y'all, I'm not.
Can you read that second part? Can you read that second part real quick?
Not educated.
Second part, the logic, making unfalsifiable claims is a way to leave the realm of rational discourse, since unfalsifiable claims are often faith-based. Often, I gotta say it one more time. Often faith-based and not founded on evidence and reason.
I mean, doesn't Donald Trump do this every day?
That's because of his childhood trauma. Stop picking on him, Rocky.
Yeah. His trauma just came with a gold spoon, you know, that's all.
Both, you want to speak to that definition?
Well, I think the definition was great. And again, that was the point that I'm making. And my issue is because a lot of us don't understand reason, we walk into these rooms of people who are therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists, and they're telling you all these things, and we don't have the tools to really ask them the right questions. As a matter of fact, I want to read the example here instead of making up one right now on the spot. It says, I have a tiny invisible unicorn living in my anus. I didn't know I was going to say that. My fault, y'all. Facebook. Unfortunately, these cannot be detected by any kind of scientific equipment. Explanation: while it may actually be a fact that tiny invisible mythological creatures are occupying this person's opening at the lower end of their alimentary canal, it is a theory that is constructed so it cannot be falsified in any way. Therefore, it should not be seriously considered without significant evidence. So that's the idea of it, y'all. When we're going into these situations,
I like how you read it. You need to start reading more often on the show. I like this.
I can barely read it. I'm having to like split to read that thing. But yeah, so we got to consider that whenever we're addressing things, y'all. How do we falsify that? If I'm sitting with a therapist, I mean, I can tell you things a therapist told me, you know, but we're all getting all that. I'll just say that there's no way. And they tell these things to little kids. They didn't tell you nothing about that. Oh, go ahead. They tell you things to little kids that are not even psychologically astute enough to be able to really vet what they're talking about. Oh, you're this because of that, or because of this that happened to you. This is what's likely to happen to you. This stuff gets very dangerous. And my issue is that it really plays a lot on women. I don't really hear men say the reason why they do what they do is because of their childhood. Because one, other men wouldn't tolerate it. You see what I'm saying? When men are dealing with other men, you can't be like, my fault, man. The reason why I keep doing this to you is because my dad. Wait to hear all that. Either you got to fix it, I'm going to fix it for you. That's really the reality. I'm going to stop dealing with you. It's going to be, I'm going to fix it for you, I'm going to stop dealing with you. The male world is very cutthroat in that way, for good reason. Productivity and competence is what's rewarded. In the lady world, they're not as much about debate.
Well, why is that? Why do women get a pass on
I can't finish saying it first. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, break it down. I'm sorry.
So yeah. So the thing is, with the ladies, they're not as much about debate and justifying why they're not, that they believe certain things. So when they walk in these environments, they don't have the same tools. And so you do hear typically more from ladies that say the reason I'm like this is because of my childhood, how I experienced my dad or my uncle or whatever. Because not saying that traumatized things don't actually happen that affect us, especially when it comes to sexual things, can affect us in that way. But the thing is, that's not a place to stay. And then you went into different ideologies where from a more biblical standpoint, it'll be said that the reason why you're that way is because of sin. You need to repent of sin. It's not like this because your childhood, this happened to you in your childhood. It's because you, like all of us, evil feels good sometimes. Evil tastes good sometimes. Revenge is amazing, right? And I'm not getting revenge because my dad abandoned me. I'm getting revenge because it feels good. It's satisfying.
Oh, man.
But if I told you the reason why you're doing this is because you're a sick individual like the rest of us, you're probably not going to keep paying me. Aki, what you going to say?
I was going to say that, you know how some people say, I'm just going to sit back and let God handle it for me.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? God is using me to do your evil work. And back to what you were talking about, it's very interesting. But I know that if you guys can, this is no cap, if y'all can refer me some books to read, I mean, I would really appreciate it. Because I didn't expect this to be so cerebral.
Welcome to the Vulcan Soapbox. It's your pen and paper. And what you were saying earlier, I thought about one of Mike Tyson classic interviews. I think I forgot who he was on a podcast with, when he said that he knew he was sick in the head because he enjoyed inflicting pain on people outside of the ring. And that's what he said. I used to mess with his spirit, because he said he actually enjoyed harming people, man. That was an interesting interview, man.
There's a gratification in it, and the thing is, we don't go over that too much in those sessions. At least I never hear people say that on the outside. It feels good. It feels good. Somebody, you have a close relationship with somebody, and they something that makes you mad. You want to get even. You might want to get ahead. Yeah, and it's not about your childhood, because you probably didn't do it with your parents. Your parents would have smacked the teeth out your mouth, so you didn't do it with them. But with this person, they can't touch me. It's illegal. You know what I'm saying? So,
but that's where all of these sayings come from, like play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and that's where all of these sayings come from, just based on this what you just said, and this term that you guys are using, this falsifiability. I mean, Donald Trump does this every single day.
What does that other lady do? Don't get me started.
Uh-oh.
I'm talking about.
I'm messing with you, man. I don't do.
He does it every day. He does it every day.
Wait. I'm trying to. No.
So guys, let me ask y'all, why does this come up so often, especially in our community? Why does it come up so often? Childhood Trump.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Derek. What's up?
I think it's lack of adult responsibility.
Accountability.
Accountability.
Okay. All right. What's up, Aki?
I mean, I agree 1,000%.
Accountability. Okay.
Yes.
Vulcan?
I think it's accountability, and also with this mental health movement, which I'm for, there's some studies suggest that it's better to be counseled by a friend as opposed to professional counseling and stuff like that, or a family member. A lot of people's families so jacked up nowadays. I get it. You got to go to somebody else. They don't have the socialization skills to be able to have strong friendships. So I get that part. But originally, it's better to just have people that you trust, that know you really well, that can see through your BS.
For
and
sure.
You know what?
Go ahead.
Because they know you. I know you.
I just want to add to that I think that a community is extremely important. You have to have, I have a girlfriend that I talk to about things, and I make sure that she doesn't know the other people when I'm talking to her about it. You know what I mean? Therefore, it's not gossiping or whatever, because she don't know them. Yeah. And and second of all, you have to be able to have the ability to be honest with yourself when you tell your story to somebody. A lot of people lie to even their friend because they want to get the answer that they want to hear, and not the actual truth, and can't handle the truth when they receive it. So you have to be able to be honest with yourself to be able to handle it, what's going to come your way. And you have to trust the person that you're talking to, that they're going to not try to protect you or protect themselves from hurting your feelings. Those two things are very important. Without those, the conversation is mute. Because guess what? I know the friends of mine that I have that's just going to tell me BS or whatever, and I don't go to them for nothing. It's just like, I'll see you when I see you. But when I have pressing things, and I know that I give good advice, because when some people have pressing issues, they come to me too. And so, because now I know my reputation is respected. Now, people know I love to run my mouth, but they know, they know when it's time to be serious. It's time to be serious.
Yeah.
What you're speaking on, that's, like I said, that's good. That this is why we do that show, because the things how we explaining certain tactics we use, certain methods we use, it's a name for that.
He said, "Do that show." This show. He said, "Do that show."
This show. Hey, whoops. Yeah. So on this show, what you was just
on this show.
On this show, what you were just describing, Aki, is what they call confirmation bias. And you see that not only within our relationships, whether it's friendships, intimate relationship, even in the political arena, what we were speaking about earlier, our biases sometimes influence our way of life a lot of times. So sometimes, like you said, we're not going to be totally transparent with the person because we want to get certain answer that's going to confirm our biases anyway. So yeah, I just wanted to, I can't put the definition up there, but I'm just want to let people know a lot of things that we see and a lot of things we hear, it is a term for that. All right, I think we I think we covered that pretty well. Anybody before I get to the video?
You know what?
Okay, are you saying conversation or confirmation bias?
Confirmation bias.
Confirmation. I'm actually taking notes, guys, for real, straight up.
Oh man.
You should be. You're a good student.
Yeah,
no,
and so also, sorry, go ahead, Derek.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was gonna say also what I wanted to cover as well is like there's a gender element to this as well. So we talk about accountability again. I mean, and this is the reality of it. A lot of this big mental health push, one, it's conflict of interest. People who sell this to mental health push, they make money off mental health push. Just like if a doctor said, hey, meds, obviously they make money. The pharmaceuticals make money. I'm not saying that we shouldn't trust them but like everything else, when you're getting legal counsel. I remember I was dealing with a legal battle 5 years ago, and I was calling around, and when the legal team found out who I was, they, oh, actually, we do business with the person you're talking about right now, so we can't do it. Conflict of interest. So that's a real reality. I also want to say this: they've done some studies on this They did a study on this. You were going to read this real quick, sir?
Yes. Confirmation bias is the tendency to search for, interpret, and recall information in the way that supports what you already believe. Confirmation bias, ladies and gentlemen, please.
A fake conversation.
yeah.
In other words,
to quote two proverbs. One proverb says, well, actually, I'm thinking about three, but I'm just going to say with two. Open rebuke is better than hidden love. Open rebuke is better than hidden love. And then a rebuking tongue will receive more honor than a flattering tongue. A rebuking tongue will receive more honor than a flattering tongue. So keep that in mind as well. But I want
to touch on something that you said, James. When you talked about people going to the doctor and mental health push and all of this, and doctors are in the business, they're drug dealers. Let's just say what it is. But see, now we're going back to our other previous subject. See, now we're talking about advocacy.
Now
we're talking about advocacy, because when you go to the doctor, you have to speak up for yourself, because I went to the doctor. They were going to put me on a diuretic because I had high blood pressure. I told the doctor, I'm like, I don't want to be on that pill. What do I have to do to not be on that? And she was like, she wasn't going to tell me. I had to say something. And she's like, well, you need to start sweating. So then I realized when I started doing my walks every day, I'm like, oh, I'm in the high blood pressure walk group. So I changed from because I wasn't sweating enough. I changed and started going to the gym. Now my blood pressure is 122/74. So what I'm saying is advocacy for yourself. Like in any situation, you don't have to go with whatever's given to you. That's being led. You have to speak up and ask questions. I never go anywhere without asking questions, because I'm like, and I tell my nephew all the time, he just sits there and lets stuff happen all the time. And I'm like, bro, one day we was in the car driving somewhere. It was like 3:30. And I said, well, come with me, and then I'm going to drop you off at home. He didn't tell me that his friend was going to pick him up at his house at 4:00. He just sat in the passenger seat of my car and let me drive him all around the world. And I'm like, well, bro, you need to speak up for yourself and say, hey, Uncle Aki, no, I don't want to go with you to X. Just drop me off because my friend is. Some people don't have the ability to even do that.
And who is that? That's your cousin, your nephew?
My nephew.
Tell him tune into the Vocal Soapbox. We encourage people to ask important questions to get to the bottom.
Judge a man by his questions rather than his answers.
Yes,
but let me
sir.
go ahead and I was going to say about the gender difference right here, and I wish it wasn't so disjointed. I should have said it before we did everything else. But so they have done some studies on this topic, and one study that they did was they had ladies and guys too. And they told them they were going to do an experiment where they were going to see if they were going to face discrimination based off scars on their face in this interview for a job. So they put the makeup on the ladies and the guys. They put the makeup on them, and they show them the scars. So they can see the scars and say, look, we're going to just do a study to see, like, let us know if they treat you any different just because of the fact you got scars on your face. And so right before they get ready to leave, they say, hold on, we got to do a quick touch up on your makeup real quick just to make sure it looks right. And when they did a touch up, they took the makeup off, but they still think the makeup is on. So you got women and men who think the makeup's on their face, but it's not. And they go and do the interview. And they come back after the interview is over and say, hey, look, did you face discrimination based on the fact that you had a scar on your face? Guess what the guy said?
No.
No. Guess what the ladies said?
Yes.
They said yes. Not only did the ladies say yes, but they even were able to give quotes from the interviewer of the things that they said that made them think they were being discriminated against. There's something to that nature that makes ladies less likely to desire to take accountability. Not saying all women never take accountability. It's all of us got to work on our strengths and weaknesses. Men suck at all kind of things, prone to alcoholism, all kind of stuff. Men can barely read, 4th grade level. So but on this particular issue, I'm taking accountability. It is something that ladies tend to struggle with a little bit more. And there's something to that. Last study I'll say is a study they did where they had babies, girls and boy babies. And they put obstacles in their way and they had their mom call for them. The baby boys and baby girls. These are babies, mind you. This is before socialization. This is before being taught what you should be as a boy or a girl, right? And they put obstacles in the kids' way. And so when these baby girls and baby boys are being called by their moms, when the boys would have obstacles in their way, the boys would try to climb over it, knock the obstacle down. They're trying to figure out how to get around the obstacle, get to their mom. Guess what the girls did?
Sat there and cried?
They cried. And we are made different with different strengths and weaknesses. And so so my point is saying a lot of this mental health stuff is mainly pushed by a lot of women. A lot of women occupy the spaces in the humanities. A lot of women are counselors and therapists and social workers, and they do a great job. They care about people, so they care about people, so they do those kind of jobs that are necessary to be done. They help me genetically. They helped me out a lot as a child. But on the flip side of that, we got to be careful to understand that nurturing nature a lot of times can make us not take accountability. They don't provide the same structure. So when you're being told the reason why you're going through this is because your childhood is not your fault, that lack of accountability a lot of times can poison relationships.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And that's the thing, a lot of women that's in that field, especially in our community, you meet countless of women that have psychology degrees, sociology degrees, because genetically we just made different. Majority of the women are more into people. That's why when they go to schools, they seek professions that's helping people: nursing, counseling, psychiatrists, maybe. And majority of men are more into things. So that's the difference. So we got to be mindful of that. So we're gonna.
I would say that's also why, they say they do the studies on how single moms raise children versus single dads. Single dads, the studies show single dads raise children about just as good as a 2-parent home.
Yeah.
But single moms, the high incarceration rates and teen pregnancy rates and crime rates, a lot of that stuff is linked to single mom raising children. And part of it is they don't provide the same structure and hold the kids accountable to the same level that a man would hold his children accountable. It's obvious. There's other factors that play as well. But that's one of the major factors. Aki, you said something?
That's true. You know what? I would say that, a lot of kids, now that you say that, being that I grew up with a single mom, I mean, my dad was there, but, he disciplined me by phone. You know what I mean? It's not that he wasn't there at all.
Yeah.
But I would say that I got away with a lot more stuff because I was with my mom that I know would never fly with my dad. I was able to take advantage of more situations.
And we know that as men, we kind of know where we can get away, what we can get away with, whether it's a mother versus our dad. I know we've been talking. I want to get Derek. You got anything you want to add on to this, Derek?
I like what Vulcan was saying, because I asked my mom that literally today. We were driving. I was driving her somewhere, and I said, Mom, you raised three kids. We all went to college, and we didn't have an abusive life. We were poor, but we were good. I said, but I think a single man raises a kid better than a single mom. And before I gave her any context, I said, what do you think about that? And she says, and I just knew it was going to be a long drive. And she said, you know what? I agree, son. And I looked at her, I was like, what? She said, I agree. And then after she agreed, then I said, you know, you got to remember the woman came out of the man. I said, a man, because of the way we're wired, I can teach my daughter how to be a woman. I can teach my son how to be a man. I said, Mom, you can teach me manners. You can't teach me how to be a man. And she looked and she was like, you know what? I agree with you. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, shit.
Well, I think a lot of that is, you know, I know we got to move on here, you know, but it's the structuring things about, but it's also like a certain esteem of reasoning. And I think a lot of times when you listen to ladies give men advice about relationships, they give men advice based off of what they would want for their friend, but they wouldn't want their man to actually do. Like they'll be like, you know, you got to be vulnerable, but they wouldn't want their man to be that vulnerable. I'm not saying every woman's like that, but there's so many studies been done and so many videos are online where a lady was like, I told my man to open up to me. He opened up to me, and now I don't find him attractive anymore. You know, there was that. Y'all know if y'all saw that one video where the lady was talking to like a bunch of guys lined up, and they got to rate the guys. And the lady was like, "What's the last time one of y'all cried? Y'all guys toxic." You know, she didn't necessarily say that. She was just saying, "When the last time one of you guys cried?" And one of the guys starts crying, and he goes, "My best friend passed away recently," and he starts crying. And like two of the girls went and gave him a hug or whatever. But at the end, they got to rate all these guys. At the end, he got rated last. Him crying turned off. And most of the girls that I've shown that to said that he was actually the most attractive guy on there. But once he cried in front, once they were saying that in the comments, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but once he cried, they weren't as attracted to him anymore. So a lady will tell a man to do things that you can do as a woman. Sorry, go ahead, Aki.
Is that the balloon pop show?
Yeah.
This one, I think it was before. I think it's before Balloon Pop. I don't know. Balloon Pop is out for this one, but it's very similar to it.
Because the people on there, I wouldn't give them. I wouldn't let them pick nobody that I know.
I just go down the line.
I hope you're not referencing the Balloon Pop show.
Yeah. No, this wasn't the Balloon Pop one. But yeah, so that was a lady will tell a guy advice that she could do as a lady, and it will be okay. Women can be vulnerable. It's expected. It's more feminine when a woman's vulnerable like that. But she wouldn't. But she's giving him advice if he was a lady. She's not giving him advice to be a man attractive to other women.
You know what? I'm gonna push back on you a little bit, James, on this.
Yes, sir.
Because I say that, you know, as a man myself, and I have lots of friends, you know, and if something was to happen to my friend's family member or my friend's homie or whatever like that, and my friend cried, I mean, I wouldn't think he's any weaker or anything like that.
Can I address that?
You're a dude.
Yeah. I was saying, can I address that? Because I was going to say, Derek, you want to address it, Derek?
No, go ahead. I think the point Falcon was making was women, you can't tell. But remember, we're on the other side. We're the reasoners. We can reason and logic. And so we got a brother that's hurting. We're not even holding that against him. We're not even going to bring it up a year from there and go, use a punk ass for crying about. We're not even going to do that.
Yeah.
But a woman, not all women, but a woman will tell you, oh, you should tell me everything. And then
because...
And then I just want to do my 2 cents in. I see shows they actually recommend guys to be part vulnerable with their friends and partners.
With the homeboys. Don't do
it. Yeah. But go ahead. You was going to say something?
I was going to say, the woman's not going to reject the man for being vulnerable. How it works is this. There's a friend zone, and then there's the erotic zone. And if you're too vulnerable, you're going to move from the erotic zone to the friend zone. So you're going to get all the love and care a friend would get from a woman, whatever that is. But she doesn't want to sleep with you anymore.
Rejection in a different way.
Especially close to Michael, some studies would suggest.
Well, I mean, you could be right. I mean, I guess, you know.
All right.